Because I saw that it's so many companies, but the ownership seems to be going a certain direction. And then does this mean that the information that we got from the PS is contradicting what the Cabinet Secretary may have said on the floor of the House? Is that what the Honorable Will is saying?
Chair, I will avail the Speaker, the answer response from this year. And it says, that's exactly what I've said.
I want to say the last one. I've just looked at what we got from the Cabinet Secretary, thanks to our Secretariat, and realized that they concentrated on a certain period of time and ignored what happened earlier. Is there a chance that someone in the ministry is misleading the Cabinet Secretary or the PS? You know, Cabinet Secretaries come and go. And when you are seated in the office, you ask for information. And people may decide to give you selective information. Because when you look at the response from the PS, I believe that someone may have misled.
Yeah, that's why we never proceeded with the session, you remember? We said that we give it more.
Because what we are getting here is a lot of information that really was never shared.
The PS is coming back on Thursday, this coming Thursday, which is a day from today.
The day after tomorrow. Chair, just to complete my statement, I believe that matters that have gone to court and decisions that have not been met, the expertise that we have in the ministry cannot miss this unless someone is selectively giving the Cabinet Secretary or the PS wrong information for a specific purpose. And I think, Chair, if we realize that that is happening, then this committee should take it very seriously.
And again, to digress a little bit, when we were reconstructing the file for Miwani Sugar 1989, one of the reasons we were given by the registrar was that we cannot reconstruct the file because that inventory notice is there. Then how comes that this provision, that certificate was given if that provisionary notice was there? I continue with your permission, Honorable Chair. The incorporation of Miwani Sugar Company in 1989 had already been charged against the certificate title. And that's why I was saying, if there is already charge on that, and you want to get property to auction, could you have the audacity even to talk to this other party, which is now charged against the title? There is evidence of gain. There is evidence. There is no. It should be. I think this should go on record. Honorable Chair, this is a mistake, and it should go on record. There is no evidence of engaging a qualified valuer to determine the first sale value of the land to set a sale price as required by auctioneers rules. Chair, why was I trying to bring this as the person with the custody? If I have a pen and I use it today, do you come and auction my car? Because the decree which I'm just about to talk about was for only 114 million. Do you go ahead and auction a land which is 2 billion? Why not even take 1,000 acres of that land? So those are some of the questions which needed to be addressed.
You know, when his life is threatened, then he must be protected. Because those who are threatening him, they must be the ones who have been mentioned that they're holding the land illegal. And now we have two tables here, Chair. We have the original one and the provisional one. So we should also try to see the ESC, what was their report about the provisional title and vis-a-vis the original one. And then we call the chief land register, because he's the custodian of all the land registers in this country, to confirm if the original title changed. And if it did not change, then how did this one acquire the provisional? This one shows that there is fraud somewhere. And that's where now we should dig in. How did he manage to get the provisional title? and there's an original title. Thank you, Chair.
Subsequently, although I'm not very good in English, subsequently, payment of 680 million was made to Delphi's Bank and the other major creditors. So there's no association of Delphi's Bank and Oriental. And 330 was paid to, maybe English has a problem. The figures are the same, but there is a problem with English.
No, it's Honorable Chair, let me explain that. When you talk of,
I think receiver manager,
yes,
just draw a line between the Oriental and
it's what I'm trying to draw. The Chair, Honorable Chair, that's what I'm trying to draw. Because when you talk of Delphis, we are talking of Delphis and other major creditors. Whereas if you go to the bracket which I've explained, the other major creditor is this one now known as Messrs. Sujit. In bracket, Oriental refers to Delphis, and it was Delphis and other major creditor, where the other major creditor is now Sujit.
Chair, yes.
When you go to a letter dated 7 February 2005, page 4, from Oriental, formerly Delphis, and again you come to page 5, subsequently payment done was made to Delphis and other. I mean, that's why our honorable member, my colleague, is saying unless there is a problem with English, because 7th of February we had Oriental, which was formerly Delphis. Again, we are Delphis is appearing again, and yet Delphis was already changed to Oriental. So unless there is confusion, which I'm also getting mixed up, just like my colleague.
You want to come in?
Yes. I think it's very simple. We should run up and say 680 million was paid to Delphis, now Oriental. Delphis, you must mix it with Oriental. Delphis, now Oriental, and other creditors. Because the total sum comes to 680, 330 paid to Oriental, now Delphis and Oriental, and then the balance is paid to Surgita and Market. But from here, you give it as if Delphis was paid, Oriental was paid, and Surgita and were also paid. But very simple grammar. Yeah. It's English.
Maybe English. Chair, again. Honorable, I think just before we proceed,
can you clarify why were these people being paid this amount of money in the first place? Because according to the narrative you have been giving us, the last conversation we had is the government acquired this amount, yeah, and Vanessa Associates acquired for 51% of the shares. Then the next issue is Oriental want to die 537 million again. So, I mean, not Oriental, but Delphis Bank. So, how did this come into place again?
Now, this money is, if you look in, there are some inputs in this company. But Miwani Sugar 1989, after being incorporated, was not doing well. And that's why things like the title deeds were in their custody. So,
Vanessa borrowed money against this company again.
correct.
Yeah, it is explained in the background.
Let me try and help the meeting again. If you go to page 4, if you go to page 4, where now Vanessa has acquired 51% and GOK has retained 49%. You see Vanessa has committed to put 100 million to get new equipment. GOK has also committed 100 million. Yeah? Maybe working capital or something. And then the government is still saying the company now it will be operating and making money. We still want our 354 million paid back. So those are liabilities of 700 and something. Then you go down, they tell you, remember Somaya was now Vanessa as well as Delphis Bank. So they must have borrowed this money. This 534 was borrowed from Delphi's Bank by the company. Yes, for its operations. But must include that 100 million and all these other things. So eventually, the company is unable to pay back the 537 million. Once they are unable to pay back, and Delphis has also gone under and taken over by Oriental, now Oriental makes a demand. They write, they are saying, you owe us. And these are the securities we have. We have debentures for 200 million, we have 2 parcels of land security, we have undertakings, and we have share pledge. That is what, this is the security, these bullets you see there. So, now they make a demand to pay us. Now the government now pays the 5, whatever it is, the 600 whatever, yes, through Sugar Board. Part of it is paid to the bank, part is paid to the other creditors.
So the government is on paying.
Yes,
Yes,
it's
it's
Sugar Board.
in the Sugar Board.
But why is Miwani Sugar Limited, 1989, who are partners with the government on this? Why are they not paying?
You see, the government is 49% shareholder.
Yes.
So as a shareholder, it has obligations. As a shareholder. Yes, it is not. It is the same thing they have done before. And it is the same thing they are doing with many other parastatals, even where there is co-ownership. So it is the government taking over responsibilities.
Because the one factor has gone under.
Actually, Honorable Chair, that's why the Sugar Board became the sole debater holder of Miwani Sugar 1989. And all those things are captured in this report.
Miwani is part of my jurisdiction as a member of parliament. I want to confirm most of the things that our receiver manager has articulated here, because I and him have been working together. This issue, I and him and a colleague of mine not present, then 14 May, we've been working together. Part of Miwani is owned by Tigray, and a large part is in Burundi. So the locals know very well that they gave this land long time ago for the purpose of running the sugar industry, which the government promised, the colonial government, and later Kenyatta government and Timor government, that would create economic empowerment to the locals and employment, and the rest that come with this kind of industrialization. The sugar industry was run very well by the Asians. When they went down, the government came, then just started a ping pong game, typical of the government bureaucracy, where, you know, people are sent to manage a thing and they have instructions and loyalties elsewhere. So they start with running down the industry. So we have had problems with the industry that has not been functioning, and then now the land became a target. Finally, in 2007, I was not a member of parliament, but I became actively involved when we got wind that the industry or the land had been purportedly been sold in an auction that never existed, an auction that never took place, and we made life difficult for these people. We must thank the receiver managers of the day. They're not the ones here, Witty and another one, and Bet. They did very well. They went to court, we mobilized our people, and these people went to court. This matter was heavily investigated by EACC, and how I wish that 2 people from EACC, all EACC could be called here. The then chair, Professor Patrick Moma, he heavily gave directions. Arrests were made, and everything was, sanity was restored. Then these people went to court, they did not go anywhere. The land has been held by trust by government through Kenya Sugar Board, and the Kenya Sugar Board through the Minister of Agriculture appointed receiver managers. There have been 3 layers of receiver managers, this was the last one, and they have all looked after the land very well. It's the receiver managers of Moroni Sugar Company who have been overseeing the function of the land, and therefore they're the people who have been using the land, tilling the land, growing the sugarcane and mailing, all the way from Miwani to Moroni. But something happened. Sometimes the government came up with an idea they wanted to build an EPZ in my constituency, and they earmarked some land somewhere, not very far from Miwani. And there was an attempt, the day I think they were coming to officially launch it. Good luck, I was in South Africa, but my people resisted. The former Prime Minister went there, the government ministers the former transport and several ministers. They went there and it was mayhem, they were flushed out. Then later on, they relocated, now they were coming to Miwani, and we were told that they wanted to build an EPZ in Miwani. And we said to the public, we have no problem. If it is EPZ, we allow them tomorrow, we allow them today, another day. Now we had public participation, and our people made it very clear. If it is EPZ, this is public land. The government can take 10,000 acres, can take 1,000 acres, or can take 100, whatever they want. But we don't want to hear anything called Crooksway. And we agreed.
There are pertinent questions that he had also asked in the document, including who reported that the title deed was lost. So if those are the cases that we can follow through on those documentations, in line with also what Miwani has mentioned, so that in the next meeting we have a trail of all the documentations going forward. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Please also have an interest because this is a matter that is also touching a part of Nandi County. And initially we were supposed to do a free economic zone within the same area. So there are almost 3 counties that are actually benefiting